Hey, cosmic warriors, spiritual skeptics, or just a random confused human. Welcome to another dimension. It's time to sit down with me, your reluctant mystic Michelle, coming to you from the void between worlds to talk about some really interesting metaphysical stuff. Who am I? Just a human who's been thrown into this place called Earth, who has a lot of questions, born with a whole bunch of gifts, but not a lot of answers. So what this podcast is going to do is explore some paranormal mysteries, energetic phenomena, and a lot of FML moments that have you questioning, what the hell are we doing here? So if you're spiritual or you're just really confused, this is the right place for you. So join me if you like riding the waves of the quantum ocean and getting really down deep into the WTF of what's going on here. Because, as I always say, they're legit. There's no way I signed up for this. So if you're ready for a wild ride, let's go. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of There Is No Way I Signed Up for This. As we get further and further into 2025, I think I repeat that maybe 4 or 5 times a day. Yeah. Anyway, let's jump into this. So this episode, we're going to be talking about healing. That wonderful healing phrase that we use. Yeah. But here's the question. Are you actually healing or just distracting yourself? I'm going to let that sit for a second. Are you actually healing or just distracting yourself? What do I mean? Let's be real. Just because you meditate or do shadow work, burn some sage, it doesn't mean you're actually healing. I know. Ponder that. Sometimes we just learn to distract ourselves in a more spiritual way instead of facing the work we actually need to do. Yeah, it's going to be a bit messy today, unexpected. Some things might ruffle some feathers, but it's ruffling feathers for a reason. So we're going to cut through the illusion. Are you actually doing the healing? Or maybe you're just keeping yourself busy so you don't have to face yourself. I'll go another layer. Maybe you are turning away from things that would promote growth so you can stay in your woundedness. What? The audacity. What are clutch pearls? Yes, I just said that. I do feel like I've called some of you out. So yeah. Are you healing? I have it was a meme I posted and it was like, look, I don't know if I'm healing or I'm just staying away from things that trigger me. And that's not really healing, is it? So let's go a bit deeper. Let's talk about this. The illusion of healing. What does healing actually mean? What does it actually mean? And I say this because I remember when I had COVID. I had it twice. And I'm vaccinated. And I had it twice. That's a whole nother conversation. But everybody kept telling me, you need to rest. You need to rest. And if you know me in real life, that is... What is that? I'm constantly on the go. So yeah, what is rest? I found myself actually searching what rest is, because at that point I was like, isn't laying on the sofa doing nothing rest? No, because your mind is going 10,000 miles per minute, right? You are not allowing all your systems to take a moment. So I think same thing is with healing. Like, people use the word, it's like self-care. People use the word but don't really know what the word means or everything that comes with it. So healing isn't just about engaging in spiritual activities, and it doesn't even have to be spiritual activities. It could be doing things that you think should fall into that category, right? When I do trainings about self-care, I prefer calling it self-preservation. where people are like, oh, I go out, I get a drink of wine and this, that, and the other. You're not healing, you're numbing. That's something completely different. And some of what we're going to talk about is that numbing, is that not wanting to focus or put yourself in a place or space or around individuals that promote healing, because it's safer, you think, in your mind, it's safer to stay what you recognize, stay in the places that you know what to expect. So healing is about integrating past experiences, processing emotions. I know for a lot, and sometimes including myself, emotions is a bad word. I don't want to say bad, uncomfortable. Emotions makes it hard to do things sometimes, at least for me. But it's about integrating past experiences, processing emotions, and evolving in a way that allows you to show up differently in life. So let me repeat that again. It's about integrating past experiences, processing emotions, and evolving in a way that allows you to show up differently in life. So what are some common distractions? And this is a spiritual podcast, so what are some common spiritual distractions that people mistake for healing? Number 1, jumping from one spiritual practice to another without sitting in stillness. What does that mean? Okay, this didn't work, so let me try this. Okay, this didn't work, so let me try this. Okay, this didn't. And it's like monkey barring. And I'm going to throw some non-spiritualness into it. You see that in relationships too, right? And monkey barring, I'm going to throw that terminology reference to my good old friend Princess India, who uses that terminology and basically jumping from one thing before the other is concluded. When we're doing that, you're not providing or allowing space, right? There's no stillness, there's no healing. You're jumping and working and maneuvering and doing something else before you even finish completion with another thing to avoid the stillness. So jumping from one practice, spiritual practice, one thought, one event, one person to another without sitting in the stillness. That's one distraction. Another one is reading all the self-help books, listening to all the podcasts, even though I think this one's kind of dope, but never applying the lessons. So you can have a library of all the books. You can have a playlist of all the episodes, but it's just entertainment because you're not applying the lessons. The next one, this one's going to ruffle some feathers, I can tell already. Using astrology, tarot, shadow work as an excuse to analyze instead of actually heal. Ooh. Get mad at me. Go ahead. Go ahead. Huff and puff. Huff and puff. But let's be real. How many people say, well, I'm a Leo, so that's why I'm like this. I'm an Aquarius. That's why I don't got no feelings. I'm a Pisces. That's why I'm always drunk and hot. Which obviously that's not the case because I'm a Pisces and I don't drink and do other stuff. But people have used astrology to use as an excuse. Let's be real. No, it's not about what sign you were born in or born under. What were the stars doing when you came onto this planet? No, sometimes it's some trauma in your background that you need to resolve so you can get to the next step of healing. And then tarot, right? Sometimes, you see what you want to see. And I've talked about this before. You can literally put out into the atmosphere and like, okay, I want to see a reading about blah, blah, blah. You search on YouTube, I guarantee you're going to find a reading that is your astrological sign that is feeding whatever delusion it is for that day. So we don't want to use these, which could be tools when used correctly. We don't want to use them as an excuse. You don't want to use them as an excuse to do the actual work. And then another one is doing constant energy cleanses without ever getting to the root of the emotional wound. What do I mean? If you have to constantly cleanse for a particular thing, then I don't know, maybe you need to get to the root of what these symptoms are addressing or identifying. I always talked to, when I did therapy with families, when I'm talking to the parents, the behavior is your indication that something's wrong. The behavior is the symptom to a root issue. So even if you do something that addresses a particular behavior, if you do not address the root of the problem or the issue or the concern or the wound, the behavior A will either return or another problematic behavior will step up in its place. You have to get to the root of the issue. Otherwise, you're just changing band-aids, but not doing the healing. I know that was a lot. But it's okay. We're gonna get to the end of this, the bottom of this. So why do we do this? Well, real healing is uncomfortable, and not just emotionally, spiritually, physically. Real healing is uncomfortable. If it felt good, everybody would do it. If it felt good, we wouldn't have to have self-help books and podcasts to say, hey, how are you feeling today? Healing is uncomfortable. Another reason why we do this, facing ourselves means confronting what we've been avoiding. And if you've learned to live in that, it has become your identity. To heal could suggest you having to learn who you are all over again. Facing yourself and confronting the parts of you that you would probably like to overlook can be scary, because who am I without this identity? Who am I without this wound? Who am I without this trauma? It's scary. And many of us are addicted to seeking, but struggle to apply what we've learned. Uh-oh. How many of you gone to the bookstore and you go straight to that self-help area, or straight to the psychology area, or straight to where the cards are, right? And you buy and you buy and you buy, and you're looking and you're looking, and you're doing all the reading, and you're watching all the YouTube videos. Hell, you might be even talking to your therapist, but are you applying what you're learning? That answer right there can give you everything you need to know about what your next steps should be. Again, many of us are addicted to seeking, but struggle to apply what we've learned. So let's recap. We talked about the distractions, right? Jumping from one thing to another, not allowing space and time to heal. Reading all the self-help books, listening to podcasts, even going to your therapist, but not applying the lesson. Analyzing and using things like astrology, tarot, and other things of that nature as excuses instead of actually healing. And then treating the behaviors, but not treating the wound. Yeah. We need to get into the real work. So when we talk about the real work of healing, healing happens in the body, not just the mind. Emotional wounds are stored in the nervous system. We carry our trauma in our DNA. And in my professional life, I have a whole training where I talk about epigenetics. And there you go. That's a word for the day. Look it up. Get used to it. You'll be the smartest person in the room anytime you throw that word out. Epigenetics. All right. Emotional wounds are stored in the nervous system. It's stored in your body. So your triggers and reactions hold the key to where your healing is needed. It's kind of like the bruising, where you think you have gotten over something, an event, a person, a topic, a situation, and something occurs and you feel it. You typically will feel something and you're like, oh, there's some more work that needs to be done in that area. So some things people talk about: breath work, inner child healing, even, as my personal favorite, seeing a therapist. But again, finding one that's right for you, because everybody's not a fit. But the key is more effective approaches than just reading another book is sometimes what's needed when we really want to get down to the core of the situation. Again, healing happens in the body, not just the mind. And just like trauma and things of that nature change the brain's waves, patterns, DNA, healing can do the same thing. There's something called post-traumatic stress, where a lot of people are aware of, but not so many people are aware of post-traumatic growth, PTG, post-traumatic growth. Look it up. So there are different ways and concepts, but the key is you having to step into that space to actually do the healing. So what are some signs that you're actually healing, right? So we talked about some things that you might do to distract, to get away from, but there are some signs you can look at to say, hey, I might be actually doing this thing. You react differently to the same situations. That's probably one of the biggest ones, because it's one that you can actually see for yourself. Same event occurs, the same person or a different person, same behaviors or something in that space occurs, and you don't have the same reaction. Now, hopefully it's not a worse reaction. That's a different topic. You don't have the same reaction. Your relationships start to shift, and sometimes dramatically. What does that look like? I've talked about this before. You meet people, especially if it's an intimate partner relationship, you can meet people all day, but maintaining them really comes down to the level of healing in your relationship that you're in. It's an energetic type of balance. So if somebody's not meeting you or energetically aligned with you, 9 out of 10, they can't stay in your space. Energy likes to balance itself. It likes to have equilibrium. So if you're not in that same scope, even though the attraction might be there, maintaining it is where the challenge happens. And sometimes these relationships shift dramatically. Here one day, gone the next. So that could be an indication that you're healing. People that you are used to being around, interacting with, sharing space and time with are no longer there. Or you have a whole set of different individuals, preferably more on the healing side. You're not descending, you're ascending. Number 3, you start choosing peace over chaos. What does that mean? It's the let them theory. Let people do what they're going to do. I'm not going to fight you. If you want to be a dirtbag, be a dirtbag. If you want to be a garbage human, be a garbage human. That's fine. I'm not arguing. If 2 + 2 is 5 in your world, that is okay. That's fine. Let them. So you start choosing peace over chaos. Everything does not need to be an argument. You stop needing to explain yourself to people who don't understand you. And that, for me, there's a realization where it's like, you know what? You have your thoughts, I have mine. Neither one's right or wrong. It's just different, and that's okay. You be you. I'm going to be me. I'm not going to keep trying to explain myself, my thought process, if it's not getting anywhere. So, signs you're actually healing. You react different into same situations. Your relationships start to shift, sometimes dramatically. You start choosing peace over chaos. And you stop needing to explain yourself to people who just don't get you. You know what? They might not be your people. You might be flying and soaring at the height of an eagle while they're on the ground walking at the height of a turtle. So whatever their perception is, whatever they see, that's accurate. That's truthful for them. But you're at a different level. You're in a different location. You see things differently. Neither one of you are wrong. You're different. So as an eagle arguing with the turtle, you're never going to get anywhere because they will never be able to see your vision unless you pick them up and fly with them. But that's another topic for another day. So how do you shift from seeking healing to actually doing the healing? So, because some of you might be like, yeah, I get it. Yeah, but I do read the books and I do the things and da 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 da. How do I actually shift from the seeking the healing to actually doing it? Well, first, stop collecting knowledge and start applying it. Like I literally just gave you some signs. Look and do an inventory on your behaviors, on your life, on your surroundings. Are you seeing any of that? When you listen to podcasts such as this, when you read books, when you're watching videos, when you're going to your therapist, are you actually doing what they're saying? Or are you just listening? And you want to create a space for stillness and introspection. And that's where we slow down and stop. Sometimes you have to stop moving to get a clear perception of what's going on. When you're speeding down the highway in your car, you're not going to notice the beautiful wildflowers growing off to the side. You're not going to notice certain things on the highway or on the road or in the neighborhood you might want to slow down and take a longer look at. Sometimes you have to slow down to a stop and be still. One of my favorite quotes in the Bible, be still and know. Sometimes you have to stop. And in that stillness, you get to gauge where you're at. Where are you in your healing journey? Where are other people? How do they connect and either are helping your healing or not? And if you're going 1,000 miles per minute, you're not going to be able to have that awareness. Who's here for me to support me through this journey? Who isn't? Who's keeping me here because they're benefiting off my woundedness? When you're going and jumping from person to person, thing to thing, you're not allowing yourself that time to do that. And again, be patient with yourself. Healing is a lifetime process, not a checklist. And every time I hear somebody go, I'm healed, with the ED, I'm healed, strong D, I always side-eye them. I'm like, because I know healing is a lifetime process. This thing, you will have to heal from things until you decide that, hopefully not. Well, I don't know. Until it's time to go to your next journey from the planet Earth, from this assignment. It's a lifetime process. So I'll never say I'm healed. I am healing. It's an ongoing process. Because today I might be feeling like I'm on the top of the world on cloud 9. Tomorrow I could be not, completely opposite. And I have to do the work to understand what's going on. So be patient and understand healing is a lifetime process. If you want to be an individual that goes, I'm healed with a hard D, more power to you. But at the same time, understanding that as long as you're living, there's always going to be things that you're going to be processing. And just because something hasn't triggered something to the surface yet, doesn't mean it won't tomorrow. So understand that, give yourself space, give yourself time, and apply what you learn. So you're not just looking for healing, you're actually doing the healing. So a couple things I want you to think about as we come to a close. And just ask yourself. And these are just, these could be journal prompts, these could just be thought bubbles, but ask yourself, have you ever caught yourself using spirituality as a coping mechanism? Something's going on in your life. Let me see if there's a reading on YouTube about it. What's something you thought was healing, but then you later realized it was just another distraction? Ooh, that's a rough one, right? Was a person just another distraction so you couldn't do the healing from that failed relationship? Schoolwork? That next degree? Taking on additional shifts at work? What are some things in your life that you thought showed that you were healing, but you later realized it was just another distraction? Let's talk about it. Let me hear your thoughts. Put them in the comments. Send me a little email. I'm just curious because I say all these things from my own experience, because when I'm like, disassociation, that is my superpower. Distraction is my gold starred gift. So yes, I have to be intentional when I want to focus on something that needs to be healed, because I could so easily jump to something and focus on that and not deal with the hurt or the pain or the uncomfortableness of the change. So hopefully this podcast didn't ruffle too much feathers and left you with some items, some thoughts, some processes that you can start using to work on healing. And hey, it's a step-by-step process. It's we'll get there. We'll get there together, because that's what we're here to do. We're here to learn. This assignment on planet Earth, we came here to experience these things, to learn from them. So if you're distracting yourself, I guarantee you're going to end up repeating these lessons over and over again. So we might as well go ahead and heal from them and ascend to the next level. All right, you guys, take care, stay safe. Thanks for being here with me, and keep your eyes to the sky.